In the year 1962, the Indian National Committee for Space Research was set up by the then Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, on the suggestion of Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who was an Indian physicist now widely considered as the father of India's space program. This was later, in 1969, turned into the current day Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO. This was a bold and ambitious move at the time, given the Indian economy was extremely weakened by almost 200 years of British occupation.
India's share of the world economy when Britain arrived on its shores was 23%. By the time the British left, it was down to below 4%.
But talking about India's space program, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai once reportedly said, "There are some who question the relevance of space activities in a developing nation. To us, there is no ambiguity of purpose. We do not have the fantasy of competing with the economically advanced nations in the exploration of the moon or the planets or manned spaceflight. But we are convinced that if we are to play a meaningful role nationally and in the community of nations, we must be second to none in the application of advanced technologies to the real problems of man and society." The Indian economy has come a long way since then and is currently the fifth largest in the world with a GDP estimate of $3.75 trillion. This still pales in comparison to the GDP of United States, which is estimated to be over $25 trillion, and China with an estimated GDP of over $18 trillion. This also reflects in the budget of these countries' space agencies, with NASA's 2023 estimated budget around a whopping $25 billion, while that of ISRO's is only a small fraction of that, at about $1.6 billion. So though the aspirations of ISRO might have grown with the growing Indian economy, ISRO still tries to stick to its roots and is extremely cost conscious when it comes to executing its missions. Case in point, India just managed to become the first country in the world to land a spacecraft near the south pole of the moon, and that too at an extremely small and surprising cost of just $75 million. India also became only the fourth country to land on the moon at all, which was previously only achieved by the United States, the former Soviet Union, and China. While it's extremely impressive that India's ISRO managed to complete the Chandrayaan 3 mission to land on a challenging surface like the south pole of the moon, which has a huge number of craters and insufficient sunlight, the fact that they managed to do it at a cost of just $75 million is even more impressive. So impressive that this cost is being compared to the cost of many Hollywood and Bollywood movies, which cost way more. For example, if we look at some space-related Hollywood movies, the movie Gravity costed $100 million. The Martian costed $108 million. And the movie Interstellar by director Christopher Nolan reportedly costed $164 million to make, which is more than twice the amount of money spent by India and ISRO on the Chandrayaan 3 mission. What's more surprising is that there are even apartments in New York City that cost more than the Chandrayaan 3 mission. This is not the first time though that India managed to pull off something like this. India's Mars mission in 2014, called Mangalyaan, also costed only $74 million. While a sort of a similar mission carried out by NASA, called the Maven, is estimated to have cost a whopping $671 million. So, how does India's ISRO manage to carry out such complex space missions at such a low cost? There are several factors that can explain this. First off, let's look at the cost of fuel. It took nearly 41 days for the spacecraft sent by ISRO to reach the moon, while other countries did it in much shorter timelines, such as NASA's Apollo 11 mission, which helped land humans on the moon for the first time, took just 4 days to reach the moon. While Russia's recent Lunar 25 was designed to land on the moon in less than 2 weeks' time, although the eventual landing failed. The reason for such relatively long travel time for Chandrayaan 3 was the methodology used by ISRO to send the spacecraft to the moon. Rather than sending the spacecraft directly to the moon like other countries, ISRO chose to go for a more complex, clever, and a longer route where they utilized Earth's and Moon's gravitational pull to make the spacecraft slowly leave Earth and do a soft landing on the moon. This allows for the engines to be fired at only specific instances and saves significant fuel costs, as ISRO doesn't need to spend high amounts of fuel to escape the Earth's gravity in a short time. This also allows for a less powerful launch vehicle with a lower payload capacity, such as the GSLV Mark III, to be used for the mission by ISRO, and this further reduces mission costs. The second factor is cost of talent. In this video, you can see a group of ISRO scientists celebrating their recent successful lunar landing. One thing that is hard to miss in this video, apart from their joy, is their simplicity. That's because while ISRO scientists are no less to anyone in terms of their capabilities and talent, they do not make as much money as their counterparts working for some of the other space agencies like NASA. This is due to the wage differences between India and other countries. While the average salary for an aerospace engineer in the United States is over $120,000 a year, $20,000 a year for the same is considered a high salary in India. That's less than 17% of the money being made by an aerospace engineer in the United States. In addition to this, in some cases, scientists are specifically hired for certain projects with hefty contracts by space agencies such as NASA, while ISRO mostly allocates its permanent employees to its projects, which also saves money. The third factor responsible for such cost-effective missions by ISRO is indigenous manufacturing. Manufacturing costs in India are lower than that of other countries, such as the United States, partly because of low labor costs. Manufacturing something within India to be used within India also saves costs such as those associated with applicable import duties. ISRO has over time reduced its dependence on importing expensive critical components for its missions due to indigenous manufacturing efforts in India to provide the same at a fraction of the cost. Several Indian companies such as L&T and Godrej Aerospace reportedly worked with ISRO to provide critical components required for the Chandrayaan 3 mission. India's local industry is known to have been collaborating with ISRO in not just manufacturing, but also designing and testing of critical components. India also has a bustling startup culture with reportedly over 100 space tech startups. Some of these startups could also be playing a key role in the future in both helping the India space program reach new heights and cutting costs further. The fourth and last factor is the frugal nature of ISRO and its scientists. Frugality is very deeply ingrained in the Indian culture. There is a huge emphasis on saving money that's taught to people in India from a very young age. This is no different when it comes to ISRO, India's space agency. Case in point is this picture from the past where a rocket cone can be seen to be carried on a bicycle. Each and every stage of ISRO's projects are managed extremely efficiently, which reduces wastage and helps minimize cost. So those, my friends, are some factors that help ISRO in completing stunning missions at a surprisingly low cost. I have a question for you. Comment and let me know what you think about India's recent moon landing and if you think there will be human settlements on the moon in the future. If you liked this video, please leave a like and do not forget to subscribe as well as turn on notifications. I'll be back with another informative video like this very soon. Until then, take care.